Two brothers on the outskirts of New Orleans grabbed the mama's camera, make themselves a movie. A few years later, and the indie darlings of the scene. A guy discovers them from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Feels the need to tell his friends, maybe everyone. Turn the podcast on, maybe you'll have fun. Oh, distraction from the noise, a sweaty hand to hold. Welcome to Duplass One. Welcome to Duplass One.
I don't know.
This is okay, right?
What do you mean?
If
This
if
looks
this
like-
if this goes wrong.
This looks like a room from Beautiful Mind.
Oh, good. I thought there's always a psycho crazy element to it.
This looks like Russell Crowe was trying to figure some shit out in here.
Yeah, it's actually like, I don't know if you run into this, but like being like kind of an artist type, like, but and in Saskatchewan and also an adult is like kind of hard sometimes because people are like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
go get a real job and like,
Oh my god.
like go to the mine already. Like, what? Why are you not at the potash mine?"
Are we talking about this already? I feel like this has just been like coming. This is something that's been circling my brain like a fucking hurricane for the last 9 years.
So I had an idea to do like an art project of this room. It was like a 3D collage. So the floor was it used to be, but there was like we had a flood. So it was like the ceiling, the walls, and the floor were all collage, and then it's even got this like art marker here.
Yeah.
See, it's called My Life in Paper.
Oh, cool. I like that.
And then I actually threw like an art show in this basement. And
Really?
I had other people bring their art, and we had wine and like cheese, and it was dumb. Yeah.
Very neat.
Anyways, so welcome to Duplass One, everyone. Is it okay if we go right into it?
Yeah,
Is
that's
there anything?
fine.
Okay.
Is that the name of the podcast? Is Duplass One?
Yeah, Duplass One. But you don't actually. It's a really bad name because you don't actually pronounce their name. It's not Duplass. It's Duplass.
Duplass.
So it's more like Duplass One.
You could be like, what's that song like? Duplass.
Duplass Ashes. Yeah. I think it's French, not German. They're from New Orleans. But or I guess what would it be if they're from Orleans? Cajun,
which is French.
which is French.
Yeah.
It's like the Acadians went down there, so it's got a Canadian
Because
background,
I think
right?
Cajun comes from the word whatever. It's
Yeah.
derivative.
Well, Cajuns are a mix of Acadians and something else.
Asians.
Maybe.
No.
I don't know. It could be. We can neither confirm nor deny. Okay, so first off, we're just gonna say, what's your deal? Who are you? Like, I only have like artists on here. So.
Oh, okay.
So,
well,
so you.
I don't know if you can count me as an artist.
Yeah, sure, I can.
Whenever you say it, you'd have to put "failed" in front of it. Like, if I'm an artist, then I'm a failed artist. If I'm a businessman, I'm a failed businessman.
Well, you can just say you're a Saskatchewan artist, and that's.
I'm a failed Saskatchewan artist.
No. You can just say you're a Saskatchewan artist, and failed is redundant.
Oh, okay, right. I'm a Saskatchewan artist. My art is failing. I'm in constant falling.
So you used to play, and you wrote songs and sang and played guitar in the band Lord's Kitchener.
Yeah, I did that.
Which, if anyone's listening, you can listen to that music if you bought a CD at their show. Nowhere else.
Should I face this microphone?
Yeah.
Or should I? Is it like a mic that I can look in any
picks up
direction?
everything,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
But
because I might
if
flail
it's-
my arms and
Yeah.
look
You
this
probably
way.
want to talk towards it, so you can move it
Alright.
around, do whatever you want. And then after the band, you kind of did a solo thing, and you wrote a lot of like amazing epic songs that
no one heard because I didn't put it out or do barely any shows.
No, you didn't record it. So
I
it's
wrote
like if you were at those shows,
a shit ton of songs.
if you were at those shows, you're sitting there going like, these are some of the best songs I've ever heard.
I don't even think I played any shows.
No, yeah, you did. We played a show together. We played Performers Cafe together.
Right.
For the listeners, Performers Cafe is like an open mic thing. But the Saskatchewan Festival of Words puts on. It's like a writers conference kind of thing, and they and it was and they usually get they would get one writer and they'd get one musician and that they'd pay, and then everyone else would do open mic, and you and me played, and it was like this is going to sound insensitive, but in my opinion, it was like just this amazing moment. It was you and me,
right,
and then everyone else had like an intellectual disability.
Well,
that went up, and so it was like kind of awesome, you know, and you know, because it's like super inclusive, right? We're like we were like we, you know. I might have a learning disability or something. I don't know.
I definitely have a learning disability.
Yeah. So it's like, so we might have like some, you know, but we, you know, we don't have a intellectual disability. Mm-hmm. And we were the minority that night, which is kind of cool. I think
that
it's like I was at the Superstore the other day, and we live in a really, I don't know if everyone. We live in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and it's very white, right?
Very, homogenous white.
But I was at Superstore the other day, and I was like the only white person there. I was like, this is kind of cool. Things are kind of changing, you know?
You were the only white person at
I was
the
Superstore. I was the only one. I looked around me, and I was the only white person there. And I was like, wow, things are changing.
I've even noticed a demographic change in Moose Jaw. Like, even just walking downtown 5-10 years ago, you wouldn't see a lot of minority type whatever, you know, like
right.
You definitely notice a change in the last year or two.
Yeah. Plus, I don't know if this is like a generalization, but I feel like people from other places in the world walk more than we do. They go for walks throats.
Well,
I feel like we're hermits a bit, right?
I had a DUI for quite a long time. I walked a lot, my friend. Yeah. I walked more than the average Mexican. I was walking. Yo caminar mucho.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that later, but I would like to talk about your love life. And your Mexico love life. Mm-hmm. But we'll get to that later. More about what's your deal now. You're doing comedy.
Yeah, so now I'm failing at comedy, and what I'm kind of taking it a different way about it. Mm-hmm. Like I'm writing, and I'm also trying to put on shows. I guess, like, really to get into this, we should talk about what we were talking about at the very beginning, which is being an artist in Saskatchewan.
Sure.
You almost have to create a scene. Like, if you're not playing rock and roll or country.
Sure.
Because if you put on a rock show, you're going to get some people that love rock music. But if you want to be like a weirdo artist that has his own collage room, like, you literally have to create your own space. And for a stand-up comedian in Moose Jaw, like, there's not an open mic night.
Right.
There's not a comedy scene. Like, I'm going to start working on some material, and I'm going to have to drive to Saskatoon to do 5 minutes.
Right.
And then turn around and drive back.
Just 2 hours away, yeah.
And then 2 hours back.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're working a job, which you have to kind of work to live somewhat, and then at the end of the day you're tired, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to create a scene on the evenings and weekends. It's very difficult to do.
Right.
So I'm starting to hire comedians from out of town to come to Moose Jaw to put on comedy. I'm putting on the event, but they're like headlining it.
Right.
And then I'm just opening. I'm just going to do a little opening, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah. But, you know, like, my hopes, I have these ideas and I want to do all these things, and then a month later, like, reality smacks me in the head, and it's like, this is more difficult than I realized.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like,
yeah, because it is like, and I don't want to be like, oh, poor us, because we live in such cultural isolation, but you know, if you or I were like, let's go to Los Angeles, or let's go to Toronto, or let's go to New York, there's a stream.
Are you asking me? Because we can go right now.
Okay.
I'll call my girlfriend.
There's a stream that we could jump into, and it's not saying we'd do very good in that stream, or maybe we'd be part of like some type of community, and maybe we'd be like, well, we'd be like the king of the people that suck at this, or maybe we'd be like not even the kings of the people that suck at this. Maybe we'd be like
the peasant.
Maybe we'd be like, was kind of like the shittiest artist there, but here there's no stream. You have you're digging the well, right?
Yeah.
You have to create. There's no stream for you. You have to create it yourself.
There's not even like a creek. There's not even like a couple drips from like a water. There's literally nothing.
Yeah.
And when you try and create something here, it seems to me that it's kind of like trying to get a big boulder to start rolling, and you're just pushing at it, and it's not moving or budging.
And your audience is people who are kind of like annoyed that you exist. It's like that's who you're trying to win over, which gives you some built-in durability.
Don't you like your job? I like my job.
It's kind of like
you think you're better than me.
It's like when there's live music somewhere, people are just like, oh.
It's like, I came here to eat my fish and chips, not listen to your shitty music, bud.
Yeah, it's a $5 cover. Oh. Okay, we're just going to go somewhere else. It's $5. Come on.
That's like...
if I had a nickel for every time, like, put on a show and someone, like, came and was like, what's... It looked like there's, like, a deer in the headlights. Like, what?
Yeah.
I just came to get some coffee or get a beer or whatever. And then you're like, oh, it's $5 cover. It's $10 cover. And they're like, and then you just go like, well, you can just come in if you want. So that's what I would always do, and usually they'd feel guilty. They usually come in for free.
I never do that.
And then they'd listen, and then they'd listen to it, and then they'd like it, and then they'd usually like 90% of the time pay later.
See, I should adopt that strategy.
It's like trusting that people won't be dicks.
Like
it's like believing in the best in people, even when they're kind of like just like their attitude is like you doing what you're meant to do is like bothering me. Okay, so that's who you're at, and who I am. I did the music thing forever, and still am off and on, but mostly film. I'm doing film now.
You're a filmmaker.
Did short film.
I read that in the bathroom.
And then I'm just finishing up a full length. We're just raising money for to get professional sound done on it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, you read it in the bathroom. That's my friend Kat Hammer. She what do they call it? Cross stitch?
Yeah, I think it's
called
cross
stitched me a thing that had a little camera on it, and it said Dustan J. Haladi, filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I actually love her because of that. Like, I liked her before, but I'm like, you're one of my favorite people in the world now.
3 notches.
Well, she is because that's the thing, like with your identity, when we talk about our identity, like I walk around thinking like I'm a filmmaker, like I'm making a film, but I don't get paid to do it, right? So it's like, and no one else sees me that way, but I see myself that way, So when someone does see you that way, it's kind of nice.
Yeah. It is kind of nice. I definitely know what it's like lately. I've been putting a lot of effort into writing. Like I'll wake up and write, even before I go to my wage slave, soul sucking job, and I'll write, and like I'm trying to get involved in this comedy thing. And so in my head, like I guess I don't even identify myself as a comic, but
when will you though? How many shows do you gotta do?
I don't know.
Like if you're doing
you can't
it, you
just
are,
be doing
right?
it open mic nights every once in a while. I think you actually have to. Is it when you get paid? No, it can't be that.
It can't, because it's like then, like when you think of some of the greatest Saskatchewan artists, if we're looking at all mediums, a lot of them didn't get paid. So you look at all of the visual artists. Like, I don't know, Joe Fafard, he had a pretty good run in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bill Cosby really liked his stuff, actually, which is crazy. But like, he's
one of the greatest.
Yeah. So he kind of made some money, but like, he was doing that for like, he got popular like late in life. He was like an old man. Like he was
Cosby?
No, what? Joe Fafard, the Saskatchewan artist. He used to live, he just died this year.
Did you mention Cosby?
No, I say Cosby really liked Joe Fafard's stuff.
Oh.
So I was just trying to explain how big he was in the 80s and the 90s.
Right.
So Joe Fafard was like an old man. He just diid this year. He was like in his 90s, I think, or something like that. So he was like retired when he was making money, but